the co-main event is as good as any co-main event we've had, especially considering it's not a title fight, because we get the human highlight Justin Gaethje back, but he's fighting Rafael Fiziev. You know, RC, what's crazy about this fight is, we always say about Justin Gaethje, he's your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, right? Because everybody loves him. Dude's got like 8 bonuses in 10 UFC fights or 9 UFC fights. How does Justin Gaethje take on this new challenge doing Fiziev? And what does this fight make you feel when you saw it announced?
I mean, one, you're excited. There isn't a Justin Gaethje fight you walk into the arena for and you're not excited because you understand what type of action is going to be provided. But for Justin Gaethje, this is a fight that he needs to win to put him back in the conversations of not just being an exciting fighter, but a championship contender.
Yes.
Justin Gaethje's 18-0 entering the UFC. Now you're 4-5 throughout your career. To his credit, Justin Gaethje, especially recently, has only fought the top talents in the UFC. And so you're going to lose some of those fights. But now when fighting Rafael Fiziev, a guy who is up and coming, Rafael Fiziev is fighting to put his names with the Charles Oliveira, to put his names with Islam Makhachev. And so for him, this is going to be a prove-it type of ground. And he's the guy that's ascending. And so I'm excited about the fight, but I know if you're on Justin Gaethje's side or if you're in his camp, you're telling him, I'm not tripping on how exciting the fight's going to be. I'm tripping on whether or not you can win. When you look at it, DC, do you see Justin Gaethje being able to recover if he loses this fight?
Well, I'm looking at Justin Gaethje's record right now because I'm trying to find how many bonuses he has. He has 10 bonuses and 8, 9 fights, right? That's unheard of. Nobody does that. But the reality is this, RT, to answer your question, he can't lose.
Can't lose.
It's a must-win. And we spoke about this last week, I believe, where we said it was a must-win for Petr Yan, and he ultimately lost the fight. But he can't lose. Because the reality is when you are the guy that's been to the mountaintop, when you're the guy that's fought for the belt, won the interim championship, lived in the top 5, eventually you start getting matched up with these younger dudes that are kind of coming up. Like you said, Fiziev is ascending. He's on his way up. But in order to get to where you want to get, you've got to beat one of those guys.
Yes.
That's why those guys don't take these fights. Gaethje took this fight now because after losing to Charles losing the belt, he has to do something big in order to get back in that conversation. So it's a must-win.
But you also gotta think, right? So what was it? It's Dustin, it's Khabib, it's
Dustin's in the same spot.
Right, yeah, it's Charles Oliveira. But I'm saying, like, some of the names that we've now seen Justin Gaethje lose to, the fight that he's won recently is obviously the Michael Chandler fight, which was a great fight. It was exciting, but people aren't going to look at a win over Michael Chandler to say now you belong in those championship conversations again. If you beat Rafael Fiziev, you're doing 2 things. You're putting yourself back in those conversations, and you're holding off an up-and-comer. Right? But what you don't want to become if you're Justin Gaethje is, I think, the place Michael Chandler has fallen into, the exciting guy. We're going to match you up. We're going to match you up for the fireworks. We're going to match you up for the excitement, but not necessarily to put you in a championship conversation, which is why he has to win this fight. We're excited because we know Rafael's going to come to fight. We know that Justin's going to come to fight. But the winner of this fight is extremely important, which is why I believe it's a co-main event.
But isn't it a much different reality for Fiziev? Because even if Gaethje wins this weekend, they're not necessarily rushing him back to fight Islam, right? I think when you look at Fiziev, he has, it's crazy to think, I think the pressure's on Fiziev. I actually think the pressure's on Fiziev. Because, like I said, Justin has been to the mountaintop. It doesn't matter how many fights Justin Gaethje wins anymore. He's always going to be highly regarded for what he did in the middle of the pandemic. It was perfect for him, right? To beat up on Tony Ferguson in the way that he did when the world was still shut down. Everybody saw him. Everybody knows him. He gets paid more, everything. But this kid is now trying to get to that point. He beat Aviel Dos Anjos last. He has beaten Brad Riddell. But what he has done is he has made you look at him as one of the guys that can contend. And when you are thought to be a contender, when you are thought to be a guy that can ultimately get to the top and fight for championships, that's where the pressure lies. Because Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Gaethje, Chandler. Michael Chandler has lost most of his fights in the UFC, and we love MC. But he gets Conor McGregor, right? Because it doesn't really matter wins and losses for him anymore. Neither does Gaethje. But if Fiziev starts to lose, it's a long fall.
Well, the thing for Fiziev, it's crazy. Like you say, it's a long fall. It's actually not, because even in beating Rafael dos Anjos, you're not beating old RDA, right? Or RDA from 5 years ago, 6 years ago. You're beating this guy, right? And so even in that, we were like, okay, this gives you Justin Gaethje. So the fall wouldn't be far for Justin Gaethje.
Well, in this regard, RC, I'm saying far in this regard, right? It's been step by step, right? So it's Riddell, RDA, now Gaethje. It's so hard to get those names to fight you. So, I mean, if he loses, he may end up being the guy that's fighting another one of those young guys on the way up.
100%. And also the other thing you got to think about is his ascension comes after losing his first fight in like a minute and a half, right? He gets kicked in the head, he gets TKO'd. And so now this guy's had to build his way up to this point. He also has to win. And I think what we're going to see is what the pressure does to him. Justin Gaethje has been in these high-pressure moments seemingly for the last 5 or 6 fights. Whereas Rafael Fiziev, this is a step up in not only competition, but it's a step up in pressure, a step up in what's on the line if you win. The spotlight, the lights are bright. Does that make him rise to the level of who he's fighting or what he's fighting for? Or does he just fall to the level of his training? And is that enough to beat Justin Gaethje? Because if it is, you now put yourself in a different conversation.
Well, he's got to elevate. It's the only way. You cannot fall victim to the moment. And we saw that with Cyril Gane just recently. You can't fall victim to the moment. You got to elevate. You got to match whatever you're seeing in the octagon, and we know how hard it is to fight Justin Gaethje. But if anyone has the ability, it's Rafael Fiziev. His manager told me without a shadow of a doubt they get it done. They think this is the perfect matchup for Fiziev, and they think that this will only put him in line for something much bigger. Massive fight. This one's going to have the people on their feet from the start to the finish, and whoever wins is in for something big.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.